Hi guys, good morning once again. We have concluded the topic actually. Now, only one principle I would like to explain. Archimedes principle, which is very important. Although it is not there in the syllabus for 11th class, but questions will be asked in UPSC examinations and in the NEET JEE examination. Okay, it's very important as far as UPSC is concerned. So already you have learned in 9th class basics of Archimedes principle. That we would like to just revise and solve some simple problems. It's our common experience that whenever we take a heavy body in our hand, suppose I take a heavy iron load in my hand and go inside the water. The load inside the water, when I take it, it appears to be light. And the same thing is taken out of the water, it appears heavy. Similarly, you take glass, go inside the water, fill up the glass inside the water and bring it up over the surface of water. When you bring it upwards over the surface of water, the glass full of water appears to be heavy. Or you can take bucket for example. When you are filling up the bucket in a drum full of water, suppose there is a drum filled with water and you are filling up the bucket. When you are filling up the bucket, when the filled bucket goes inside the water and you are lifting the bucket full of water from deep inside the water upwards, as long as the bucket is there inside the water, you will not feel heavy at all. When the same bucket filled comes out of the water, you will feel it very heavy. Why does it happen? To get the answer for this, we need to learn the very important principle, that is buoyancy. Any object taken inside a fluid, any object when it is taken inside a liquid for example, that object experiences an upthrust. For example, suppose this is a container and we have taken some water in this container. Right? And suppose we have taken an object. This is an object taken inside the water. Then this object appears to be light inside the object. Its actual weight outside the water, that is actual weight outside in the air, will be heavier, will be more than the weight inside the water. Why does it happen? We have learned about the pressure. The sideway pressure at a particular level is always same according to Pascal's law. So sideway pressure balances, but you see the pressure on the top surface and the bottom surface. Pressure is always perpendicular to the surface. Normal component of force acting per unit area is the pressure. So pressure here, if it is P2 and pressure here is P1, we know that as we go deeper inside the liquid like water, the pressure due to liquid increases. So pressure P2 will be greater than pressure P1. So pressure difference occurs. Pressure P2 acting at the bottom will be greater than the pressure P1 acting on the top surface. As a result, because of difference in pressure, the net force acts vertically upwards. So this net force acting vertically upwards will be against the weight of the body. So the net force due to the difference in pressure causes an upthrust. So this upthrust is called as buoyant force. Buoyant force is an upthrust exerted on an object taken Cause of buoyancy. Cause of buoyancy is difference in pressure. Difference in pressure due to increased pressure at the bottom increased pressure at the bottom and lower pressure at the top. Increased pressure at the bottom, lower pressure at the top. You can write P2. And here it is P1. So this decrease this difference in pressure. So the difference in pressure due to increased pressure at the bottom or higher pressure at the bottom, you can say higher pressure at the bottom and lower pressure at the top. You can write higher pressure. Causes an upward force, net upward force. This net upward force is denoted by buoyant force. Net upward force is also called as upthrust, or it is called as buoyancy or buoyant force. So difference in pressure itself causes an upward thrust. Since this is an upward thrust against the force due to gravity, therefore the weight of the object appears to be decreased. Since buoyant force FB, I denote it by FB, buoyant force, is in opposite direction of weight. What is weight? mg, weight of the body. Weight of the body is always acting vertically downwards. This is the weight of the body acting vertically downwards. So when weight is acting vertically downwards and upthrust is acting vertically upwards, this is suppose the center of gravity, then naturally the net force becomes mg minus fb. Net force F becomes mg minus fb. As a result, the weight of the body appears to be decreased. Since buoyant force is in opposite direction of weight of the body, net force is less than weight of the body. Thus, the body loses some weight, you can see, apparently it loses some weight. Thus the body appears to be lighter. So the body experiences an upward thrust. That experiencing of upward thrust is called as buoyancy, and the buoyancy is caused due to difference in pressure. Okay. Now let us learn the principle of floating, or before that let us learn what is Archimedes' principle statement. Archimedes stated the principle that whenever an object immersed partially or fully inside a liquid, the body experiences an upthrust, a body experiences an upthrust called as buoyant force, which is equal to weight of the volume of the liquid displaced by the body. That becomes the principle of Archimedes. Whenever a body is immersed wholly or partially, fully or partially, then partially or wholly in a fluid, then the body experiences an upthrust called as buoyant force, equal to, which is equal to the weight of the volume of fluid displaced by the body. Weight of the body displaced by the body. So you can write FB. If FB represents buoyant force is equal to weight of liquid or fluid displaced by the body. Since it is displacing the fluid, it loses its weight. The loss in weight, apparent loss in weight of the body is also equal to the buoyant force. So buoyant force is also calculated as apparent loss in weight of the body. This is also equal to weight loss of the body in the fluid. Okay. Now we'll learn about principle of floating. When will the object float? Very simple thing. If, for example, a body experiences an upthrust FB which is greater than the weight, then what happens? The body floats. The body is taken to the surface. If buoyant force is greater than weight of the body, if buoyant force is greater than the weight of the body, then the body floats. This is very important. It means the weight of the fluid displaced by the body is greater than the actual weight of the body. Then the body floats. Weight of the fluid displaced by the body, if it is greater than weight of the body, then the body floats. Second case, if FB is less than weight, in that case what happens? Weight force is greater than FB. Suppose this is center of gravity. these vectors. If weight acting due to the gravity of the body is greater than Fb, or if weight is greater than Fb, then the net force acts vertically downwards. W minus Fb is vertically downwards. Then the body sinks. Then the body sinks. In that case, what happens? Weight of the body is greater than weight of the fluid displaced by the body. In this case, weight of the fluid displaced by the body is less than the weight of the actual body in the air. Then the body sinks. Third case, if both are equal, if buoyant force is equal to weight of the body, then in that case what happens? Both are equal vectors acting exactly in opposite direction. If Fb is equal to W, look at this. If both are equal, then net force becomes 0. Net force is Fb minus W is 0. Then the body floats, or it appears to be suspended. The body floats suspended inside the surface, inside the fluid surface, inside the fluid surface, inside the liquid surface. You can see. It remains suspended. To whatever distance you push, it will remain there itself. It appears to be suspended. So these are the important things to be remembered, right? These are the conditions for a body to float, to sink, and to remain suspended in the liquid. Let us see what is the principle of flotation. It's quite interesting. If you take a nail, iron nail, and take it in water, suddenly it sinks inside the water. But you have seen huge ships floating on the surface of water. What makes these huge ships, although they are also made up of metals, alloys and all, containing iron, but the ship floats on the surface of water. So that will be understood by knowing the concept of density. So now we'll speak the principle of flotation based on density. Now, if weight of a body, weight of object is less than buoyant force, weight of the body we write it as W is less than buoyant force Fb. Now weight is nothing but mg. Mg must be less than buoyant force Fb. Then the body floats. When the body floats above the surface, part of the body will be immersed inside the liquid. Part of the body is immersed in the liquid, and a part of it will be above the surface of the liquid. So that is the case when the weight of the body is less than buoyant force, or buoyant force is more than weight of the body, right? Then mass of, suppose we don't know the weight of the body, then we can write a mass in terms of the volume and density. We know density. Suppose weight of the object is mg, and we know density. Density of the object, let us write it as rho naught. Rho naught is equal to m upon v, where v is the volume of the object. Then m becomes equal to v rho naught. So we can substitute m in terms of volume and density. So it becomes volume density into acceleration due to gravity must be less than buoyant force. What is buoyant force? Weight of the volume of the fluid displaced by the body. Since the body floats partially, some part of it is immersed inside the fluid. How much part of the body is immersed inside the liquid? Only that much part of the volume of the body displaces the fluid. Only that much of volume of the body displaces the fluid. So buoyant force can be written as V dash into rho into G, where V dash is volume of the fluid displaced by object, and rho is density of fluid or liquid, right? So for the object to float, the condition is that this part of buoyant force must be equal to V rho naught G. Then the remaining part will be floating on the surface. So I should write here V rho G, where V is the volume of the fluid displaced by the object. Now for the body to float partially, so that remaining part is immersed, partial part of that body is immersed, then V rho naught G must be equal to V dash rho G. Here I can write where V is the volume of V dash is not V dash is volume of the fluid displaced by immersed part. Immersed part of the object. Immersed part of the object. So to make it still more clear, suppose this body is experiencing an upward thrust which is greater than the weight, then same body comes to the surface. Same body comes to the surface like this and it floats. Then the entire volume of the body is V. Entire volume of the body is V. How much part is immersed is V dash. Only this much volume of the body is immersed, whereas the entire volume of the body is V. So for the body to float, the weight of the body V rho naught G must be equal to weight of the volume of the fluid displaced by the immersed part of the object. So this is the condition. This is called as condition of floating. So you can say principle of flotation. Condition of floating or principle of flotation. So from this G cancels. So we can write now rho naught by rho, where rho naught is the density of object, O for object, rho for the liquid. Okay, rho naught by rho thus becomes equal to rho naught by rho plus becomes equal to V dash by V. So this is a very important relation. So this is, if it is taken with respect to density of water, then it becomes relative density. If you have taken any object inside the water, then the density of the object divided by density of water becomes relative density, which is equal to V dash by V, that is ratio of immersed volume of the object divided by total volume of the object. Total volume of the object. Thus, you will get a fraction here. For example, let us say an ice cube is there. When you take an ice cube, it floats on the surface such that some part of it is immersed inside. So, if 0.9, for example, if 0.9, suppose relative density of ice is 0.9, then what you conclude from this? Out of the entire volume of the given ice cube, 0.9% is immersed inside. 0.9%, 0.9 part is immersed inside out of 1. Only 0.1 is seen upwards. So 1/10 part of the ice will be seen upwards. Remaining 9/10 part of the ice is immersed inside the water. This is the meaning of this equation. Let us solve some problems based on this. When we solve the problems based on this, then we will understand the meaning of principle of flotation. Okay. Look at a simple problem. A block of wood floats in water with 2/5 of its volume above the surface. Calculate the density of water. Suppose, roughly I am drawing a block of wood, only 2/5 of its, 1 part, 2 part, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 2/5 of it is immersed. 2/5 of it is above the surface of water. So, and this is water. When problem is asked with respect to water, remember density of water is 1 gram per centimeter cube. 1 gram per centimeter cube. Right? So problem will be simple. A block of wood floats in water with 2/5 of its volume above the surface. Calculate the density of wood. If 2/5 part of the wood is above the surface, how much part is immersed inside the water? That is important. So if you take the entire volume as B, if B is total volume of wooden block, then the immersed volume of wood, immersed volume of wood inside the water is V minus 2/5 of V. V minus 2/5 of V becomes, if you take out common, then it becomes 1 minus 2 by 5. 1 minus 2 by 5 is 3 by 5. So 3/5 of volume is immersed inside the water. Then applying principle of flotation. Principle of flotation. That is, weight of wood must be equal to weight of water displaced by it. weight of water displaced by it. That is, how much weight of water is displaced. So first we write weight of fluid in terms of density and volume. V into rho naught into G. This gives us weight of fluid. Weight of volume of water displaced. Let us take V dash. V dash into density of water is, let us say, rho. Rho is equal to 1 gram per centimeter cube into G. Here, this weight of volume of water displaced. Volume of water displaced is equal to this much volume. How much it is immersed? How much it is immersed? Weight of immersed part. Weight of volume displaced, weight of water displaced by immersed part. Yes, now it is clear. Weight of water displaced by immersed part. That is V dash rho G. We know what is V dash. V dash is immersed part. This itself we can take it as V dash, immersed volume. So that becomes 3 by 5 V rho G is equal to V rho naught G. So V cancels, G cancels. So now for water, density of water. In CGS units it is 1 gram per centimeter cube in CGS units. In SI units 10 raised to 3 kg per meter cube. This is in SI unit. This is CGS unit. So let us say CGS unit, so that I can express density of fluid in CGS unit. Problem will be simple. So rho becomes 1 here. When rho becomes 1, therefore rho naught by rho is equal to 3 by 5 by 1. 3 by 5 by 1. But rho is equal to 1. Therefore, relative density becomes 3 by 5. Density of fluid becomes 3 by 5 gram per centimeter cube. 3/5, that is 0.6 gram per centimeter cube. 0.6 gram per centimeter cube. Or you can write in terms of kilogram. 0.6 into 10 raised to 3. So it becomes 600 kg. So it will be in terms of density of fluid in terms of SI, it becomes 600 kg per meter cube. So this is how one can solve the problem. From this equation directly one can solve. From this equation we see. See here rho naught is being asked to calculate. Rho naught by rho is equal to V dash. V dash is 3/5 of T divided by V. V cancels, so it becomes 0.6. So this is how we can write directly the relative density. Therefore, density is equal to relative density into density of water, 0.6 gram per centimeter. So if you remember this equation, principle of rotation, one can go ahead very quickly. It can be solved very fast. Okay, let us solve 2 more problems. Look at this second problem. Again, it's very simple. Now, iron floats in mercury. Why does the iron float in mercury? It's interesting. Iron is a heavy metal and mercury is the only liquid metal. Iron floats on surface of mercury. The reason is density of iron is 7.8 gram per centimeter cube, whereas density of mercury is 13.6 gram per meter cube. So, if a density of an object taken in a liquid is less than density of the liquid, then the object floats. This is the consequence of principle of flotation. Consequence of principle of flotation. If the density of object is less than the density of the water or density of the liquid in which the object is taken, then the object floats. On the other hand, if the density of the object is greater than the density of the liquid, if the density of the object is greater than the density of the liquid, then the object sinks. Okay? If both the densities are equal, if the density of the object and density of the liquid both are same, then the object suspends. The object will be suspended and it will be just below the liquid surface. To whatever depth you take, it remains same in the same position. That is the meaning of the suspension. Okay. Now let us calculate this part of volume which remains immersed in the mercury. Iron floats on the mercury. Calculate the part of volume which remains immersed in the mercury. So directly one can calculate, or you can write principle of flotation. Weight of iron is equal to weight of mercury displaced, weight of mercury displaced, because the liquid here is mercury, weight of mercury displaced by the immersed part, of iron. So weight of iron we will write as V rho naught G is equal to weight of the mercury displaced V dash rho into G. So both values are given here. So G when it cancels, this implies rho naught by rho. Rho naught by rho is equal to V dash by V. This is how we got it. V dash by V. Therefore, we want to calculate V dash. Therefore, V dash is equal to rho naught by rho into V. What is rho naught? 7.8 gram per centimeter cube divided by rho 13.6 gram per centimeter cube into V. This first part is immersed inside the liquid. So this is the volume of immersed iron. Volume of immersed iron inside the mercury. So if you calculate this, 78 divided by 136. So this comes out to be times V. This comes out to be about 0.574. 0.574. 0.574 means percentage wise 57.4% of volume is immersed. That is 57.4% volume is immersed. So directly one can calculate by using this equation. Now one more problem I will give you so that you can solve it yourself. Simple. If x by y part of the body floats in water, suppose this is a volume of the body taken in water, right? Like this. If x by y part floats in water and this much part is immersed in water, then calculate the relative density of the object. Calculate the relative density of the object. You can take the entire volume of the object as V, out of which x by y part of V only floats. Remaining part will be immersed. You can calculate the relative density of the object. Thank you. Have a nice day. From next video onwards, we will start with the new topic, that is thermal properties of matter. Have a nice day. Bye.